commuter delays continue this morning across Sydney.
The advice is still, if you can avoid catching the train, then do so.
It really is annoying everyone.
That some idiot had pulled a lever and shut the system down when there was no need to.
The trains stopped in Sydney yesterday, causing massive disruption to hundreds of thousands of commuters. But as the trains stopped, a very confused and almighty brawl about just who was responsible began.
The unions were intent on causing chaos. I'm incredibly disappointed with what has occurred across our city this morning.
The government has just done the most low and dastardly thing that you could ever imagine a government doing. They've locked out their workforce.
That's bullshit. That is union spin. They cannot use the city's transport system for some sort of terrorist-like activities.
So you liken the unions to terrorist activity?
No, I didn't. That's not what I said. So do your research before you ask me questions.
Ewan Hannon is one of Australia's most experienced industrial relations reporters.
In this case, the dispute is about wages. It is about undertakings the union wants in relation to privatisation, and also in relation to the rollout of the new fleet and concerns by the union about the future jobs of guards.
It didn't take long for the state-based dispute to escalate into one playing into the undeclared federal election campaign.
You know, if people want to hand the country over to unions under a Labor government led by the most left-wing Labor leader in 50 years since Gough Whitlam, then this is what they can expect.
During the pandemic, the people who kept this country going were our nurses, our cleaners, our public transport workers, our truck drivers, our retail workers. They need to be treated with respect.
But as the day progressed, it became increasingly clear that it was not workers who had gone on strike, but the employers, the Liberal government.
The union decided to go ahead on Monday with protected industrial action, low-level action where they wouldn't fulfil work around roster changes. This was legal, it was protected. In the dead of night, the government and Sydney Trains decided to go ahead and shut down the system, saying because of the action proposed by the union, the system wouldn't be safe. Now, in fact, this was a lockout by the employers. It wasn't a strike.
The issue started to look very damaging for the New South Wales Premier. His Transport Minister, David Elliott, who had declared unionists were acting like terrorists yesterday, today announced the government had dropped its attempts to stop the union's industrial action.
The government's decided to shift ground. I think it looked quite embarrassed from what went on yesterday. I think its attempts to characterise this as sort of militant, terrorist-style industrial action by the union didn't work. I mean, at the end of the day, state governments are responsible for providing services to the public, in this case to commuters.
David Elliott was also walking as far away as possible from responsibility for the whole mess.
I'm not an operations expert when it comes to running a rail network. So the reason why ministers employ senior executives to run government departments is because they have the expertise.
The dispute has shone a light on a couple of trends. One of them goes to industrial tactics in a system which, over the past couple of decades, has become much more heavily weighted in favour of employers.
The best paid lawyers in the country have worked out all these ways that they can manipulate the system to give employers more power. The issue of insecure work ties into that, so quite often employers outsource their whole operations to labour hire, for example, allowing them to circumvent bargain wage increases and just to cut wages overnight.
The other issue is the underlying one of wages and conditions. With inflation rising, unemployment falling and a shortage of skilled workers, there are growing signs of wage pressures as workers seek to get pay increases after years of having no industrial power. The Perrottet government is also under pressure from nurses, teachers, paramedics and health workers over its 2.5% wage cap, which is well below the 3.5% inflation rate.
As you think of the industrial action, the strikes that have happened over the last couple of weeks, and that's been teachers, it's been nurses, and they're the front line of the pandemic. Like for 2 years we were heroes, and now we're a political football. And what are people asking for? They're just asking for wage increases that keep up with the cost of living, and for then the Prime Minister to weigh in because there's an election and then have a go at working people. Really, he should be on our side.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.